Senior officials from both the US and China say trade talks held in Geneva over the weekend were constructive. Now, the talks in Switzerland follow tit-for-tat tariffs of more than 100% imposed from both sides. Dr Susan Stone is Chair of Economics at Credit Union SA at the University of South Australia, and she joins me now from our Adelaide studio. Dr Stone, thank you for your time. Now, great progress is being made in these talks, according to Donald Trump, but that's a lot of hours of talks, nothing concrete as yet. Do you think we are seeing progress here?
Good morning, Gemma. I think we'll have to see. There's a lot of pressure on both sides to have an agreement. We see China, whose economy is slowing, it's facing potential bankruptcies if its companies lose access to the U.S. markets. From the U.S. perspective, it's seeing the potential of empty shelves for some consumer goods and big increases to cost for businesses. So both sides want to make a deal, but as you point out, we have really no details about what's come out of the talks, and there were quite a few hours of discussions, and they haven't been able to announce any concrete results. They said that's going to come tonight or tomorrow, Adelaide or Australia time, so I guess we'll have to wait and see.
And these tariffs, they're already disrupting the world's supply chains.
Yep.
Tell us about this pressure on both sides to come to the table.
Right. Well, we saw, from the U.S. perspective, we saw a huge spike in imports in January and early February as companies were really trying to stock up inventories ahead of the tariffs. Those inventories generally last, we think, maybe 3, 4, potentially 5 months of inventories. But then as the inventories run out and they have to buy new goods at the higher rates, we're going to see price increases. And that's not only detrimental for U.S. firms, because it will remain to be seen how much of those price increases they feel they can pass on, but U.S. consumers will really be paying higher prices. That's going to come in, you reckon, around May or June. So it's really in the U.S.'s interest to get some kind of an agreement prior to that period so that firms can start to replenish inventories at not such a high rate of tariff. But on the other hand, Trump has said 80%. 80% at the end of the day isn't going to make a huge difference to anybody's life. It's still a very high tariff, and one that many U.S. businesses won't be able to afford.
And, both obviously have a reason to come to the table. So
Yes.
What is the difficulty here? What are the key points of difference?
From China's perspective, as I said, their economy is slowing. The real estate market, which has really been driving the economy in the past, has really slowed down. And to have this potential loss of their biggest export market on top of that is really going to put a lot of pressure on the Chinese economy, which the current regime may not be in a position to really handle. So we'll have to see that they'll want to have a deal. But it could be that the U.S. and China come to an agreement on certain sectors, because there'll be some high-profile sectors that the U.S. can claim a win on that may be very important for some export markets like consumer goods, or there's been discussion of potentially opening up or lessening the export restrictions that China currently has on some key minerals or magnets. And so if there can be a couple of sectors that are carved out, that there can be a significant reduction in tariffs, the U.S. can say a win that can lessen pressure on some business sectors in China, and then further negotiations can continue.
And what are markets making of all of this? Are they holding their breath for the results of these meetings?
Yeah, you would. Well, I mean, the fact that they're talking and that they're saying, both sides have said some progress has been made, that will make markets a little bit more reassured. But they'll be looking quite closely at the details of what an announcement is made on Monday, U.S. time, to see if there's really significant progress made in terms of business costs.
And finally, what would the outcome of these talks mean for us here in Australia?
Well, the U.S. is interested in making deals. That's obvious. They want to walk back some of these tariffs, well, a lot of the tariffs that they've put in place. They want to be able to project a win. So Australia may start to think about some sectors that it's willing to make some concessions in to give the U.S. that kind of win that they can announce domestically, because this really is a domestic agenda for President Trump. He wants to be able to show the U.S. Constituents that he's been able to make deals because of these tariffs. He keeps talking about being patient and it'll be worth it and things like that. So Australia might want to think about what sectors it's willing to give something up on in order to maintain a low base of tariffs going forward.